Sha'Carri Richardson is facing legal trouble. On July 27th, the Olympic star was arrested at the Seattle-Tacoma International Airport after an alleged incident with her boyfriend and fellow track and field sprinter Christian Coleman at the TSA security checkpoint, according to a police report obtained by The Athletic. The report states, per the outlet, that Richardson was involved in a heated argument with her boyfriend of 2 years when the arresting officer alleged she shoved Coleman multiple times as he was walking away. She then appeared to throw a pair of headphones at him, per the outlet. And after reviewing the security footage, police deemed her actions probable cause for arrest on 4th-degree domestic violence assault charges, per the report. Ultimately, Richardson spent less than 24 hours in custody, with Coleman refusing to press charges as he, quote, declined to be a victim. The report also states that the case has since been cleared. Following the arrest, the couple competed in the USA Track and Field Outdoor Championships preliminary round in Oregon, with the USATF sharing in an August 2nd statement to the Associated Press about the arrest that they are, quote, aware of the report and are not commenting on the matter.
Yeah, we are back here on WLTH 1370 AM. It is 6:40 in the PM here on Friday, August the 8th. 2025. The future's here. The future is now. As you heard in the intro, folks, world champion sprinter Sha'Carri Richardson has been arrested for assaulting her boyfriend at an airport in Washington State. She's 25 years old. The 25-year-old sprinter was arrested last Sunday on 4th-degree domestic violence, according to a police report obtained by the Associated Press. That was just 4 days before she ran in the opening round of the women's 100-meter event at U.S. Track and Field, the U.S. Track and Field Championships in Eugene, Oregon. The police report said an officer at Seattle-Tacoma Airport was notified by a transportation security supervisor of a disturbance between Richardson and her boyfriend sprinter Christian Coleman. It said that the officer reviewed camera footage and observed Richardson reached out with her left arm and grabbed Coleman's backpack and yank it away. Richardson then appeared to get in his way, with Coleman trying to step around her, the report said, adding that Coleman was shoved into a wall. And I've seen the footage. She straight up pushed that man. The report later said Richardson appeared to throw an item at Coleman, which the TSA indicated may have been her headphones. In the police report, the officer said, I was told Coleman did not want to participate any further in the investigation and declined to be a victim. Wow. Richardson was booked into the South Correctional Entity in Des Moines, Washington at 6:54 p.m. last Sunday and released on Monday afternoon. Now, what did USA Track and Field have to say about this? Because that's what's important. They said that they are aware of the reports and they are not commenting further on the matter. So, what happened after this? She actually competed. Yeah, she actually competed after this. On August 3rd, she finished just outside the qualifying positions of the USA 200-meter final. And so she was allowed to continue to compete in spite of being caught on camera assaulting her boyfriend. And for his part, Christian Coleman defended Sha'Carri Richardson after the assault controversy. He also had to run, but he finished 5th. He didn't do so well either. He defended Richardson as a great person and said it didn't affect me, calling it a sucky situation all around. Now, see, imagine these roles are reversed. Imagine these roles are reversed. And it is Christian Coleman, the world-class, world-famous sprinter, who's pushing his world-class, world-famous sprinter girlfriend, Sha'Carri Richardson, into a wall. You would have seen wall-to-wall coverage of how this angry black man is brutalizing this black woman in public. Because they did do this in public. And Coleman, who ended up defending his girlfriend, if she had been the one who was abused and defended him, they would have said she was brainwashed. Oh, yeah, see, many women defend their abusers because it's a part of Stockholm Syndrome. But you don't hear none of that. You ain't hear none of that in this scenario. Now, again, I've had some disagreements with a lot of y'all on here about the fact that I believe we should separate the art from the artist. I'm a believer in that. I am. I still listen to R. Kelly. I'm not going to stop listening to R. Kelly. You know, the music didn't molest nobody. You know? If the Cosby Show was still on, I'd watch it here and there. You know? I believe that you can separate what people do in their personal lives from what they do in their professional lives. I think everybody already does do it. I just think that we sort of in the last 10, 20 years have been sort of, bullied into trying to all be these sort of hyper-vigilant moralizers and sort of try to police every facet of our celebrities' lives. We police celebrities' lives more than we police, politicians' lives. Like Donald Trump's a 34-time felon who literally was like raw dogging porn stars while he was like married to his wife, while his wife was pregnant. And the public voted for him. But we'll cancel Kanye West for hurting people's feelings. We'll cancel whatever celebrity for what they did in their personal life, while at the same time electing members of Congress who are all horrific people. Not every single one of them, but I mean, a lot of them are horrible people who do horrible things. And that's why I've never been a big fan of the type of moralizing that people do around celebrities and criminal cases. I always say, let the legal system handle it. But the public and the media and the sporting organizations have, over the last 20 years, said that they can't do that. If you get accused of sexual assault, if you get accused of domestic violence, if you get accused of rape, you don't get to perform. Even if you're not convicted. Just the accusation alone has ruined careers over the last 20 years. And so all I'm saying is, if that is the case, then be consistent. Be consistent. Especially a lot of women out there. If this was a man who was doing this, a lot of y'all be up in arms. And there'd be a lot of think pieces about how even famous, successful black women can't escape the clutches of the abusive, toxic, masculinity black male. Where's all the think pieces about the toxic femininity? And about how black men have to suffer abuse? Where's all the ink spilled about that? Where's all the blogs about that? Why am I the first person I'm hearing in the media making these arguments? Hold on, caller. I mean, we just saw Tank Davis, who's one of the better boxers in the world, probably the most famous American boxer currently, at least the biggest draw in American boxing. He had a fight coming up this summer. It has been canceled because he got arrested for domestic violence. Just last year in the NBA, you had Kevin Porter Jr., who played for the Houston Rockets. He got arrested for assaulting his girlfriend, a WNBA player. And he got kicked out of the league for a year. He had to go play in Greece because he couldn't play in America. We saw Miles Bridges. He was suspended for 30 games. That's 40% of the season, the NBA season, without pay after being arrested for domestic violence. And of course, we saw what happened with Ray Rice, the former running back of the Baltimore Ravens. He got caught on camera hitting his girlfriend. And it ended his career. It literally ended his career. He never was allowed to play football again. Hell, just merely questioning of the role of Ray Rice's wife in what happened on that video almost cost Stephen A. Smith his job. And he's the biggest star in sports media. He had everybody jump down his throat merely for saying that, you know, women should not be putting their hands on men and provoking men. And that almost ruined and ended his career just for him saying that. And what this all goes back to is the fact that we do not take seriously domestic violence in any other context other than man on woman. That's it. We don't take it seriously. When women commit domestic violence on men, or even when they commit it on each other. Did you know that 61% of bisexual women and 44% of lesbian women surveyed in 2013 reported that they were victims of domestic violence? The majority of bisexual women in relationships with women and lesbian women who are obviously in relationships with women reported that they were victims of domestic violence, in comparison to 35% for straight women who have male partners. So lesbian relationships and bisexual female relationships have more domestic violence against each other than the relationships between men and women. Do you ever hear about that? No. There's been WNBA players who've been arrested for domestic violence. How much time have y'all heard about that in the media? How much ink is spilled about that? How many blogs are written about that? How many think pieces about toxic femininity are they when they're assaulting each other? It is only when they can use the black man specifically as a punching bag do you get the type of ink spilled about domestic violence. And either we take it seriously or we don't. Because women can kill men too. It happened. Fred Lane. who was a running back in the NFL. He was shot and killed by his wife. She was initially charged with murder, like you would think that she would be. But ultimately, she was allowed to plead down to voluntary manslaughter. She shot this man as he was entering his own house. The murder weapon was a 12-gauge shotgun. He was shot twice at close range. She was sentenced to only 7 years and 11 months in prison. 7 years, 11 months in prison. So about 8 years for murdering that man in his own house. But what did he do? I know a lot of y'all are saying that right now, but what did he do? And again, I want you to think, when is the last time you asked that whenever a woman got smacked up by a boyfriend or killed by her boyfriend? What did she do? What did she do? What is a satisfactory answer? Okay, so what if he was out all night with his homies and got drunk? Is that a satisfactory reason to kill him? What if he got a girl on the side somewhere? Is that a excuse to kill him? That make it legal to kill him? What if he called her fat or ugly or stupid? Does that give her the right to kill him? The fact is, it's just like we talked about last week when we talked about the effect of domestic violence on women. And how a lot of women who are dealing with domestic violence have long-lasting scars from being brutalized by their partners. Men are no different. You shoot me, I'm going to have scars if I survive. You stab me, I'm going to have scars if I survive. And so either we are serious about these things or we are not. It is important to understand that. Either we take these things seriously or we do not. Let me get this caller really quick. Hello, caller. You've been on the line for a while. Thank you for waiting.
Well, I love your show as always, bro.
It's all good, brother.
Hey, we're strictly law enforcement mental, I guess. Mm-hmm. Everything we do is about law enforcement, laws and more laws and enforcement of laws and who's getting enforced on and who's not. Mm. But, domestic violence, look at women are just as belligerent as men are. Mm-hmm. It just are. It's just a fact of life. They just are. Or they're not. I mean, if you're an anxious person that always has desires never met, and you've lived lots of life of traumas never resolved, well, you're probably an anxious, angry person. Mm. And that you tend to attract what you are. And so you attract another victim of their own circumstances, right?
Mm-hmm. Water finds its level.
Yeah. But, with the before in the earlier conversation, it's the federal society that they actually modify lawyers to participate with the things that Powell put into his memos. They actually now, J. Edgar Hoover, Powell as a Supreme Court judge had a relationship with Hoover as a way to modify laws. So it fits in exactly what you're talking about. The secret, our media actually being used to perpetrate propaganda.
Yep.
And we are kind of afraid to talk about it in the bigger scene. And I think that let's say, with the idea of our government being a corporation now, the idea of democracy is like, that's all out the door with communism, right? I mean, what is communism after all? There would be no concept if it wasn't for imperial overrun of the poor people of that society. It wouldn't exist. So if we had a middle class, let's say, where we had 75% participation, and the results are like a livable world that's healthy. That's the economy we need to kind of look for. I mean, that don't exist right now because we believe capitalism is one thing.
Right.
It means I got money, I can buy whatever I want.
Right.
Without no rules. And that's where these guys are neoliberals. That's why they're called neoliberals, because they don't, But
exactly. Thank you for your call, brother.
Hey, man, I love your show all the time, man.
Thank you so much. You always contribute well, brother. I agree with them. I agree with them. The neoliberal project, it was done on purpose. I actually definitely am going to get into not only the Powell memo, but definitely Milton Friedman. It's important to get into his influence on our modern economic system, and obviously our media that is owned and controlled by the elite class. They took the values of Milton Friedman and the Chicago school economists, and as he blew up governments all over the world, like Chile, where they killed Salvador Allende and installed Augusto Pinochet, who ended up torturing and brutalizing and killing thousands of people in the name of neoliberal economics. Our media, again, owned and controlled by these same people, these same entities, they make sure you don't know about that. So that absolutely is important to deal with as well. But before I go to a break, I just want to say, look, either we take domestic violence seriously or we don't. Don't just wait till you can, turn a young black male into a boogeyman to care about domestic violence. Please understand, women can be violent and psychotic as well. They can be abusers as well. They can be toxic and exhibit toxic behaviors just as much as men do. And look, legally, a lot of them are protected. We have something called the gender sentencing gap. Look it up, Google it, the gender sentencing gap. The University of Michigan Law School found that men receive 63% longer sentences on average than women do for committing the same crime. So if I kill somebody or I do a crime and get 10 years, that means the woman who might have done the same thing would get 3 years and some change. This is what I'm talking about. Either we take this seriously or we don't. If we don't take it seriously and we just look at it a way to, vilify and turn populations that we deem undesirable into boogeymen, then just say that. But don't pee in my face and tell me it's raining. Be real about what's going on here. ESPN talks about domestic violence on end when it's a male athlete, particularly a black male athlete, they can vilify. When they can turn me into the boogeyman, oh man, they love to do that. And they will do that. But when a black man is getting assaulted, crickets. Stephen A ain't really talking about it. Molly ain't giving no lectures about it. None from Monica. None from ABC, NBC, CBS virtually condemning anybody's actions. Nobody. They both competed a few days later. They let her continue competing in spite of the fact the video is out now where we can see her assaulting this man in a full airport in front of dozens of other people, probably hundreds of other people. And it's just nothing. It's just crickets. No outrage whatsoever. Either we take it seriously or we don't. All right, folks. Man, the first hour of this show has been serious than a mug. So let's have some fun. It's time for the Happy Yappies. I'll be right back after these.